Welcome to The Lock Shop with Nielson and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
11 o'clock on the, I was almost going to say the Nielson Show. It's The Lock Shop. What's going on, everybody? Huss will be here shortly. The Lock Shop obviously brought to you by our great partners over at Coolbet Canada. And Pat Gregoire will be by from Coolbet today. He will help us get set for the Canadian Open. Obviously a big one tonight between the Edmonton Oilers and the Dallas Stars. No shortage of things to discuss around these parts today. So we've got that going for us. Oil stream today at noon is going to be insane. It's going to be hilarious. So we'll get to that, setting you up for the game between the Oilers and the Dallas Stars tonight. Right now, from a betting perspective, we're going to dive into it. Like I said, Canadian Open. Huss and I will hit on that Rangers-Panthers game last night as well. If you're listening on TuneIn or iHeart or at EdmontonSportsTalk.com, we are, in fact, going to give you another chance to get in on the keyword for the $100,000 hole-in-one. See you later, Belzy. Good stuff today. Belzy, great on the hangout today. $100,000 hole-in-one contest with Golf Town. So we will get into that. Give you a keyword a little bit later on today. A little association talk maybe as well. But what is your best bet tonight for the Oilers and the Dallas Stars? The EST exclusive, the parlay, and we will build at least one, if not more, golf parlays today with Patty when he pops by. EST parlay is already up. McDavid goal, Draisaitl goal, McDavid assist, Bouchard point, Oilers to win, plus 450. So need the big boys to show up. Tonight looks like 3 guys coming in on the lineup, 3 guys going out of the lineup. Broberg, who hasn't played an NHL game in a long time, apparently going to slide in for Desharnais. We'll see all that confirmed a little bit later on tonight. But let's bring in Huss from Winnipeg Sports Talk, my partner in crime here on the Lock Shop. Huss, what's up, buddy? Good to see you this week.
Yes, good to see you as well. I hope everything went well yesterday. And shout out to Patty for holding it down. Man, we were so close. We were one stupid Matthew Tkachuk shot on goal away from and a plus 850 banger. We got the Montour point on the overtime goal. We got the 3 shots for Lafreniere. I was hoping maybe a stat correction would save us, but unfortunately.
That's such a betting degen thing, right? When you're like, come on, stat correction. Yeah. That's an NFL season thing, right? NFL season, you're always like, give me the stat correction. Fantasy, betting. God, I love stat correction guy, Huss. Thank you for being him today.
It was, listen, it was a full Lock Shop moment last night. I took my parents out to the racetrack last night. So we're at the horses. By the way, if you're ever in Winnipeg, Assiniboia Downs, unbelievable spot. And they have this, I mean, literally one of the best buffets you'll ever get to. So we're eating and we get down to it. I'm kind of following the game. It's third period. We're getting close to the end. And oh, geez, we better check out what's going on. And they're like, oh, perfect. It's going to overtime. We've got plenty of time to backdoor this thing. And then, I mean, just the concept of refreshing for a stat correction while waiting for race 6 to go off is one of the more Lock Shop moments of the year. Anyways, we fell short. We're back at it tonight. And big one there in your neck of the woods. What I saw Rashog and a few of the media talking about Darnell Nurse's interview. Now, was this the media being pissy? Was this a player being pissy? Or I honestly, I mean,
this was Nurse. This was Nurse being like he answered 4 or 5 questions with 2 or 3 words each, and then said thanks, guys, and walked away. So, I mean, they were all valid questions too. I mean, I understand how the media gets bad rap in some Canadian markets for sure. I don't think that was the case today. I think what happened was after the last game when they were asked, like Darnell Nurse was asked after the last game, you know, what do you do when you give up 13 or 14 shots in a row and don't have a shot for 14 minutes? And he said, that's hockey. It happens. And I was just like, that's a lame answer, man. I'm sorry. It's playoffs. It's game 3. So I think today he was like, well, you don't like what I say, I'm going to say nothing at all, which is also a very mature response. So I mean, we'll see. Look, the bottom line is he needs to have a game tonight. because he's a playoff worst -12 right now. Like, he needs to step up and have a game, and don't worry if you're getting blamed for this. Don't worry. Just play the game and don't suck. So we'll see how it sorts itself out. But they're making changes. Like, at least according to the skate today and what people are reading into, Ryan McLeod's going to go back in. Corey Perry's coming into the series. Fogle and Carrick likely out. And then Desharnais out and Philip Broberg in. So, I don't know,
When
man.
was the last time Broberg had been in for the Oilers?
You know, that's a good question. I mean, he hasn't played an NHL game in a long time. Let me see. NHL game log. So, he had a good year in the American League once they finally sent him down. But anytime you've seen him in the NHL, I mean, he's either been extremely sheltered or it just hasn't looked like he's.
Are they going 11-7?
No, they're taking Desharnais out and then they're gonna run 11-6. But I worry about the fact, like, if Broberg appears to be in over his head, what are you gonna do? You're just gonna run 5 defensemen?
More Nurse
for the game, like, well, that's the thing. It needs some more Nurse and Ceci, so which is the worst pairing so far in the playoffs in the National Hockey League. The last, he did play. They gave him 2 games at the end of the regular season. The 5-2 loss to Arizona, the 5-1 loss to Colorado. Prior to that, so like the last time he played meaningful NHL hockey games, November 22nd. So, I mean, we'll see how it works out. They've only won 2 of the games that he's played this year. I don't know. I don't know how much you can play him. I don't know if that's going to be the fix. But it's like from an outsider view looking in, inserting 3 guys into the lineup for a near must-win Game 4. I mean, reeks of panic to me. But how do you see it with the way that this series has gone so far?
I thought the same thing. I think it just tells me how rattled they are at how Game 3 went. I mean, I said to you, I kind of thought that they deserved to be up 2-0 coming back from Dallas. And then you get up 2-0 in that game, and it's like, okay. By the way, I see Darnell Nurse is actually watching right now. He's chimed in.
That's the Darnell Nurse account that's popped up recently.
Darnell, keep your head up. Keep your head up, buddy. They need a big one from you. They need a big one from you tonight. Like, you know, when you make that many changes, I mean, listen, it was still an incredible 3-3 with 7 minutes left in the third period. Like, I'm not sure.
Outside of the 15-minute stretch, Huss, the others played just fine in that hockey game.
Yeah.
Right? So
as they've been, listen, and I don't know what this says about the team. Because, listen, we know what they can be when they're at their best. And I would argue that, you know, the defensive play that they brought to the table from Game 6 of the Vancouver series right into the games in Dallas was the best that we've seen throughout the playoffs. They need to figure out how not to fall asleep and get owned for 10 to 15 minutes a night. I mean, that has basically happened in all 3 of the games so far. And against a team, like, listen, you can get away with that in January at Mullet Arena against the Coyotes, or, you know, just some random, like, they're good enough. They have the guys that can turn the game around. When you're doing it in a conference final against the Dallas Stars, it just won't cut it. And I mean, to eliminate that period of time, and I mean, it's easier said than done, obviously, because you're going up against a great, great opponent. I think they'd be in total control of this series. But here's the thing, like, this isn't a team down 3-0 that's just going for a Hail Mary.
Yeah.
You win the game tonight and it's 2-2. And you're going back to a place where you just played very well and won, and probably, as I said, could have easily had 2. So I was a little surprised at just how significant the changes are tonight. And to be honest, I mean, when you're just changing things right around the periphery of the lineup, in some ways it kind of takes the attention away from where it needs to be. They're big guys on the blue line. Hello, Darnell, in chat. Need to be much better. And as great as the Oilers were in the first period, was real quiet for McDavid and Draisaitl the rest of the way. And Draisaitl's gone 2 games without a point. I just heard that hasn't happened. The last time that happened in the playoffs was the final 2 games of the Vegas series. So, listen, they need their best players to be their best players. And
well, just to add to that, Hassan, I fully agree with you. Just to add to that, the 2 Robertson goals, the player who was closest to him on the ice was Connor McDavid. So, yeah. I mean, and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins had some turnovers just inside the blue line that led to one of those goals. So, I mean, you're right. Like that's when Rashad said today, he tweeted this morning, said he was sensing that Broberg would be in and it might be 11-7 or it might be CC or Desharnais coming out. And I was like, you can't go 11-7. You finally found like a fourth line that actually can contribute for you in a positive manner. Like that would make no sense. And it doesn't look like they're going to go that way. But I mean, the top 6 so far in this series have not been good enough offensively. They haven't so far. So yeah, we'll see, man. I mean, you've been in markets, you've been winning. Like this is a fun day in this city right now, man. People are fired up.
What was the mood? Like, what was the mood amongst because usually, you have a game like that, you flush it the next day, everyone freaks out, but then you wake up again on game day and you got another chance to win a hockey game and get right back into this series to tie 2-2. For whatever reason, I find that I don't know. I think it's maybe just the way that game turned so significantly, going from a 2-0 lead to a 3-2 deficit before the team even registered a shot on goal, that the panic level has been cranked up. And I think it speaks to, listen, this is the conference finals. You win this series in the cup final. You're playing for the Stanley Cup. So I get it. But, I mean, how did you read your listeners and audience this morning in comparison to other times in the playoffs where they lost a game, you got a day off, and you're getting right back at it?
Well, it's probably the same as usual, full-blown panic, like how it usually is after any loss. It's like the end of the world, right? After any loss here, it's the end of the world in the playoffs. We went through the same thing when they were down 2-1 against Vancouver, and the same thing when they were down 3-2. Like when they were down 3-2 to Vancouver, people are like, I'm tuning out. Like, this is the end of the season. There's no point. They're not coming back to win this series. So now Dallas is not Vancouver. Dallas is a much better hockey team than Vancouver. But the Edmonton Oilers so far, basically in these playoffs, have had 3 games that they had to have. Game 4 against Vancouver and then game 6 and 7 against Vancouver. And they got all 3 of them. Like, so they have stepped up in some of these moments. So, but the fact that Nurse and Ceci are the worst defensive pair in the playoffs of anybody who's played over 100 minutes together was a major talking point today, right? It's like, for example, like for Broberg, if Broberg comes in tonight, I don't think you're playing Broberg with Nurse when he hasn't played a real something on the line hockey game in Edmonton since November. And if you don't, then I guess you could play him with Ceci on the third pair and move Kulak up to play with Nurse. Kulak's usually steady. Or if you just play Broberg on the third pair with Kulak, then you're going back to Nurse and Ceci, which is just a horrible idea. So that's one of the main areas where people were somewhat panicky today. And I get it. I mean, I understand. They know what's on the line tonight. The Dallas Stars aren't blowing a 3-1 series lead. I'd be stunned. So massive, massive game tonight between these two clubs. I do like Tyler and Terwilliger. It is the lock shop. I mean, it's presented by Coolbet. We're going to be diving into this, but Tyler in Terwilliger says Nurse anytime goal plus 1,100. I'm not saying. I'm just saying. Right? You got to do the little sprinkle, and then tweet it out when you hit it. Right? Like never a doubt. Always supported the guy. Like you got to be that guy tonight. I think. So
11-1.
Yeah.
11-1 is a huge number. You know what? I might ride that just because of all the narratives of how out everyone's is on Darnell. And listen, he hasn't been good. I mean, he hasn't been good enough just to be, a top 4 defenseman. Add into the fact, which is always a topic in Canadian markets, that the guy makes over $9 million a season and has however many years left on his deal, and it becomes an even bigger story. But just looking at the anytime goals, Carrick's back in or Carrick's out?
It looks like Carrick's out tonight.
Eric's out. Okay. Well, Janmark, but Nurse at 11-1. Nurse at 11-1 is interesting. And I mean, he is somewhat of an offensive defenseman at times. I mean,
sometimes he's got 2 assists. He's got 2 assists so far in the playoffs.
Well, he hasn't been. He has not been in the postseason. I'm looking squarely at 29 for tonight. If we're looking for a goal prop.
Yeah.
We mentioned 2 games without a point. Today
on the Nielson show, our Coolbet hotline of the day, because I'm on the same wavelength as you, Huss. Over 1.5 points for Draisaitl tonight, plus 145. which is an unheard of number for him or McDavid, especially when prior to this series, he was a 2-point machine. And they got to have it tonight. So that was what we made the Coolbet hotline of the day, Leon Draisaitl over. And you know what? That last game, game 3, the EST parlay. You talk about missing it with the one shot last night. EST parlay for game 3. McDavid over 1.5 points, Hyman goal. That happened in the first 10 minutes of the hockey game. I was just like, oh, yes. And then all we needed was the Oilers to win. That was it. And so you when you check off all the player props 12 minutes in and they're up, you're feeling pretty good about it. And then that second period just destroyed the parlay. Ridiculous.
Well, and you know what? I mean, listen, it's an Oiler parlay for the most part supported by Oiler fans. If it was a different scenario that didn't involve your own team, you could easily head over to Coolbet in between periods and live bet the other team that's down 2-0 at 7-8 to 1 and guarantee yourself a really nice payout. But you're not doing that in the playoffs against your own team. So it was that was unfortunate. But you knew that Dallas, and like that's the thing with Edmonton, they need to put together and it's so cliche, but it's just a full 60 minutes.
Yeah, I know. It is so cliche. That's what I said this morning 9 times. I'm like, it's such a cliche thing to say. I hate myself for even saying it. But with this team, it's true. Like they look excellent for 45 minutes. And then there's these 15-minute stretches in all 3 series. You're just like, what are you doing? Like, what's going on here? Where'd the team go? So play the full 60. Well, you're going to give them a run.
Well, and one thing I'll say, don't think that the Dallas Stars haven't been saying that to themselves right now. I mean, I think they probably can look at themselves and feel a little fortunate that they are up in this series 2-1, considering the way they've started in these games. And I have no doubt that Peter DeBoer is going to have a foot in these guys' asses tonight to get out there and be ready to go when the puck drops. And the Oilers are going to need to be ready for that. And listen, they have started well. It's not anything that they haven't done, but I think they're going to need to be ready for a war right off of the opening faceoff. And to me, the guys that are going to set the tone in blue are wearing 97 and are wearing 29. And if those guys can get off to a good start and really sort of carry that team up, show the confidence that they need, I think the Oilers can win this game and even the series at 2. Much like we saw yesterday with the Panthers, who
oh man, they had to have that one, didn't they? Holy smokes.
It's such a crazy series. Like it seems like the team that deserves to win every night loses.
Yeah, that's the weird part. I mean, I thought that was, you're right. It was one of the Rangers' better games so far in that series. Florida still gets a ton of chances, but the Rangers had more chances than they had, I thought, in the first 3 games of the series. And Florida ends up winning in overtime on the power play. And it was a legitimate penalty, so you like to see. I mean, did you think that should have been a penalty shot? Was there enough separation? Like there was clearly a hook that changed his ability to get the shot off. But was there enough separation to view it as a clear cut as opposed to the guy could have caught him?
Yeah, very, very difficult. I mean, those penalty shots, although, to be honest, in that situation, I would rather have a penalty shot, I think, than the power play. I mean, just knowing...
Well, it's Barkov.
The goaltender. Exactly. I mean, just give that guy the opportunity to go in. That was tough. I'd probably say no, but very close. And to me, I wouldn't have been outraged either way. It was definitely a penalty. There's no doubt about that. So Draisaitl plus 146 on over 1.5. I like it. I like where you're coming in on that. I got to figure out a Coolbet play of the day, and we'll probably go to this game tonight. The other guys that I'm looking at, scoring. Heiskanen's point total is minus 125. He continues to get it done. And wow, look at Robertson all of a sudden. You get Rupee Hintz back. Rupee Hintz is plus 102 for a point.
Ooh, that's a pretty juicy number. Yeah, that should be in the minus. Oh, so who's above him? What are the numbers above him? I don't have it in front of me right
Robertson's now. Minus 158.
And Rupee Hintz is plus 102. Wow, that's a play then. I mean, he should be right where Robertson is. That makes no sense to me. I
agree. Well, I think we may that maybe that's where we'll lean tonight. But as I say, minus 135 on the money line. I did pick Dallas last game, and I was getting a little bit of heat. But I thought that they'd be ready to go to try to get home ice back. This has to be the game for the Oilers to leave it all out there, because if they don't win this game, I'm not sure you get another game in Edmonton, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to go down to Dallas and keep things alive. Couple of things here. Duck Dad says somebody put $58.88 on a Brown anytime goal tonight on the incoming bets tab. He's keeping tabs on the incoming bets tab. And then he also says there's also a $100 wager on Darnell Nurse anytime goal. So that guy would cash nicely if that ends up hitting. And the Worm is asking.
That's Tyler from chat.
Well, yeah. Well, no, Tyler tweeted me his pick. He's in for 5 on the, I retweeted it. He's in for 5, which would pay 60. So yeah, somebody else is cranking it up a notch, man. So best of luck. Remember, like we always say here with our partners at Coolbet, stay cool, bet responsibly with Coolbet. And if you're not yet signed up for an account, use the code LOCKSHOP when you do, and you get a 100% deposit bonus on your initial deposit up to $200. Just quickly on that game, and then we'll bring in Pat Gregoire here to talk some golf in a second. I mean, that series is going the distance, right? Like there's not a ton of separation between the Rangers and the Panthers right now. And what a series it's been. I mean, phenomenal hockey.
Yeah, it would be a shame if it didn't go 7. I mean, it's been so tight. The last 3 games have been overtime. And not to mention, we've got the over 12.5 in total combined games in the series. So I would say that one has to go to 7 for us. And then we see to basically it comes down to tonight. If the Oilers win this game tonight, I think we're winning that bet. Like if we have both series at 2-2, like the lowest it could possibly be is 12.
Yeah.
And essentially you're looking for one of the 2 series to go to 7, and we're getting it to a minimum of 13. But yeah, and you know what, here, just we should check right now. Series prices. What did we tell you last night? If you like Florida at home and you think that they're good, get them at plus 130.
Yeah.
Because they're minus 141 today to win the series. And the Rangers are right back to where they were near the start of the series. I think we got them at plus 125 out of the gate. They're now plus 120. And obviously the Oiler number is still the same at plus 210. And again, I gotta tell you, if the Oilers can get this game tonight, I think that it's a coin flip. Even though I think Dallas is a much deeper team, like if they can win and how they win is going to be what tells us, because it gets back to, like, listen, they won a lot of games in the Vancouver series. Credit to them with their backs against the wall,
3 of them.
But it wasn't McDavid stepping up and reminding everyone who's the boss, and even Draisaitl. Like, to me, if those guys can kind of reestablish that they are the best players in this series tonight and get a win, I'll actually feel really good about Edmonton's chances of making it to the Cup final.
All right, you can text us 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999. Let's just do this quickly. I'll do the key word here for the $100,000 hole-in-one, then we'll bring in Pat to talk some golf. All of the charges against Scotty Scheffler have apparently been dropped, so we'll get into that with P. Gregoire when he slides in here as well. The key word for the $100,000 hole-in-one, which is brought to you by our partners over at Golf Town for Father's Day this year. Give Dad the gift of golf. Whether he's a seasoned pro or he's just starting out, Golf Town has everything he needs to hit the greens in style, from clubs and apparel to accessories, tech, and more. They've got it all covered. And if you can't decide, just get them the gift certificate, man. It's that easy. Give the gift of golf. Visit them in-store or at golftown.com for more details. Let's get to your keyword here on the Lock Shop. Today, you'll just text us to 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999, and that keyword is hybrid. All right, so text hybrid to 780-218-9999. Just text the word hybrid, and Zacticum will randomly pick one of you, and you will go into the draw for tomorrow to possibly have a shot at $100,000 from 180 yards. Huss, what club is that for you, buddy?
180. Probably my hybrid.
Yeah.
I got, I can hit it. I usually don't hit anything less than a 5-iron, and I'm a bit of a granny golfer. Like I'm
Wait,
straight.
so you don't hit your 7 and 8 irons?
No, I don't. I never hit a 4-iron.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was like, wait a second. Yeah, so you just go hybrid after the 5. Yeah.
Yeah. You'll see me in the middle of the fairway hitting first after we tee off pretty much every time. But it works.
If it's the middle of the fairway, buddy, that's all you need, dude. Like, don't worry about it.
I don't lose any balls. By the way, I got to give a shout out to Phyllis, WST legend. She's in here, and I know has been paying a lot of attention. We've had a lot of WST people popping in to see Tommy after the game and whatnot.
Oh, that's great.
But Phyllis just went and put a few sprinkles in for tonight's game. She's going under 6, Zach Hyman and Robertson to score, and helpers for Dry, Boosh, and Rupee Hints.
Okay.
As I say, that plus 102 for a Rupee Hints point is good. And yes, I did just throw 10 on a Nurse anytime goal. There's no way I'm missing out on this when he scores tonight.
All right. Let's bring in Pat Gregoire today from Coolbet. The Canadian Open is lurking here, begins tomorrow. We're going to dive into a lot of that as well. But Patty, what's up, buddy? How you doing, man?
Doing great, boys. Doing phenomenal. Huss, it was a pretty good day at the lock shop for us yesterday with our props. Unfortunately, though, for the parlay, we were one Matthew Tkachuk shot away.
I don't know if you caught the opening of the show, but I was saying it's the most degen thing ever. I've taken my parents to the racetrack. We're in the dining room. We're finishing eating. And I'm sitting here after the overtime goal. Well, and even before the overtime goal, just refreshing on the damn score app to see whether we got an extra shot from Matthew Tkachuk as race 6 is about to go off. It was a
good.
Close. I was praying for a stat correction. We didn't get it. But we were on it. And listen, we did have to wait till OT for the Montour point, but you knew that was going to come at some point. I thought the Lafreniere bit was nice. And listen, Matthew Tkachuk's always around it. That's going to be, he's always in that spot. We were getting plus money on it. It was was it plus 850? I think the number was.
Yeah.
So bit of a heartbreaker last night, but we're saving our extra good luck for this show and this tournament. What did Jake not pick you up on the way to the Hammer today, or what?
No, Jake's he's manning Hamilton right now by himself. I believe him and a couple of the other boys are going to be there on Thursday, following around that huge crowd, following around Taylor Pendrith and yes, also the defending champion Nick Taylor and Rory McIlroy. I'm fired up to see that group.
That's the pairing?
Those 3 golfers. That is the featured group. That's who Pendy's playing with. It's going to be awesome.
Okay, what do you think about that? Is that like, we know that Rory's obviously a heavy favorite. Taylor's the defending champion. For a guy like Pendy, and we'll include Taylor in that, how do we, do we think that's good for them?
Well, I think for Taylor, he's proven that like the spotlight doesn't really get to him, so I think he's going to thrive off that. A guy like Pendrith, it's interesting. It's interesting to see. He is such a calm, cool, collected guy. He never really does seem rattled. You can't really tell if he's 10 under or 10 over. He's a very calm guy, very down to earth. So it'd be interesting to see. This is probably going to be the biggest group he's ever played in front of. Even when he was playing last year. I can't even recall who was in his group, but there was still a pretty good following. Like when you go to the Canadian Open, we're always seeing these Canadians get a lot of following. But the fact that you have Rory now, like this is going to be packed. Luckily tomorrow for the fellas, it's a 7 o'clock, 7:03 or something like that. And Svensson's group is actually just right after. So it's kind of works out perfect for them. But it's at 7, so it's going to be a little early. It won't probably be as big as a crowd because it's a Thursday as well. But on Friday, it's 12:30, smack dab in the middle. That's when I'm going. Like I'm thinking of bringing like shoulder pads, some elbow pads, because I got to get to the front of the ropes here. I'm going to be shoving people out of the way. I want to get an up close, personal look of our guy Penny, but also
where
Rory,
those
anytime Rory's there.
Wear those boots from your Gene Simmons Kiss costume for Halloween with the platforms with the extra foot on them. That'll be perfect. Just to give you that extra foot, you'll look like a 7-footer right there with a full head over everybody else. No, this is going to be great.
It's going to be great. I'm really looking forward to it. 4-1 in the props last night, so my pocket is a little heavier heading into this tournament. So a little fair warning, I did spray the board pretty heavily. Here
Surprise.
Today, so.
Come on. I think all three of us can always come up with some reason to be like I'd be like, I got a good deal on groceries last night. So I sprayed the board a little bit heavier for the golf tournament. It's like there's always a way. Now we're going to get to all of our best bets, but guys, we're rolling a Rory McIlroy plus 350 here. And we've talked about Scotty Scheffler and the low numbers on Scotty Scheffler and whether you can swallow it. Let's just start there with Rory. I don't know if he's on your guys' cards yet. He's not on my card, but either you guys swallowing plus 350 on Rory in this one?
No. And you know what's funny? He's not even the biggest favorite in golf this week. I was just checking out the U.S. Women's Open number. Nelly Korda's plus 333.
Oh, boy.
Although probably makes more sense. I mean, she just wins every single week. I think Brooks like the fifth number at about 16 on it. But to answer your question, no. I mean, it's maybe we'll take a Rory matchup or something at some point, in a head-to-head. But it's very difficult to swallow plus 350 in this tournament. And to be honest, we're going to get into this, I think, with Nick Taylor winning last year in the fashion that he did. Put it this way. I have a lot of Canadian content on my card. I think that our guys are going to be there and be there on the weekend. And, at the numbers that some of those guys are out there, I'm feeling that you have to fade Rory. If he wins it, you just tip your cap and realize that the number was way too short to really jump on. But I think there's plenty of other guys that have the chance to win, have the chance to, top 5, top 10, top 20, that throwing the entire wad on Rory at plus 350, not the way I'm going. Pat, you?
100%. I think there's other ways that you can get it. Speaking of which, shameless plug, if you go to the exclusive tabs, I talked about it on yesterday's show, we do have some Rory specials. So there are some other ways, some longer shots for him to win by, certain multiple strokes, for him to be a wire to wire, for him to be in the final pairing. So there's definitely some options. I'm probably going to get him in some sort of head-to-head matchups, throughout the week. That's probably how I will play it. Just, 18 round head-to-head, whatever it may be. But yeah, I can't stomach it. I really can't. I know he's won here before. Like, he's a 2-time Canadian Open champion. He's won at this course last time they played here. He had it, but at that number, I just can't do it. I really can't do it. If he starts out slow, maybe tomorrow,
see where the number is,
and when the odds get reset, see where the number is. Maybe that's a play. But I agree. Because his number is so low, there's a lot of other guys out there that I really, really was enticed by their number.
All right, Patty, well, give us your board. What are you looking at? Who are you on?
Well, if you look through the guys at this tournament, I think it's not very hard to figure out who I'm on. There are a couple extras that I don't always bet, but some of my guys are in this field, so I'm going to roll with them. And one right here is Tommy Fleetwood, 16-1. Not only is it a great number for him in this field, it's probably the best number out there that you can find. I've been seeing a lot of 13s, 14s, 15s, a 16 here with Coolbet. And I also think I was one of the few people that were cheering for Nick Taylor last year in that playoff because I was on Tommy Fleetwood. Like many times in my betting golf career, I had him to win, and he just came up short. One of the most iconic moments in Canadian history is now tarnished for me because I had Tommy Ladd to win that tournament. And I know it's a different course, but I think the way that he plays and the fact that he was here, he actually over the last 36 rounds in Canada, he's second in strokes gained to only Rory McIlroy. And Rory McIlroy's numbers are so skewed because that 1 year he won here at Hamilton, it was one of his, especially that Sunday, it was one of his best rounds of his career. He ran away with this thing. So Fleetwood likes playing up here. I know he has never won before, but I think this is a spot where he could win. I also like him top 10 at plus 160. So hit the gala. I told you, I'm just going back to the hits here. And there's been a lot of discourse in golf Twitter saying, like, this is the perfect course for him. He can shine here. And then there's some people like, there's no way he's going to get eaten up if he can't keep it, in the fairway. Well, he's the type of guy that even if he doesn't keep it in the fairway, he has the game to get him out of crazy situations. Very Jordan Spieth-esque. Very Phil Mickelson, where you'll see him, he's under a tree in straw grass, but then he'll hit a laser and just roll up to the green. So for me, I think he actually can play really well here. And his numbers, his stroke gain numbers this year have just been off the charts. He's 5th on tour in strokes gained total. He's in the top 10 in approach to green, 4th in putting, 5th in total driving, 22nd in green in regulation, 19th in approach for 200 plus yards. I could go on all day long with this guy here. And the fact of the matter is that long range accuracy and putting are very important when it comes to this golf course and a lot of the Canadian golf courses that we see in this event. And he has 2 of them. When his putter is on, he is one of, if not the best putter on tour. So in this field, like, I bet him when Scotty Scheffler and Brooks Koepka and the best in the world are playing. Why would I not bet him at 20-1 here in a field where when you go up against all the guys, outside of Rory, you could make a claim that he is the most talented golfer at this event. My next pick, 25-1, Alex Noren. I hate how trendy this pick is because it seems like everyone and their sister are on Noren this week to win. But he has been on fire this season. He's been so close. It seems like he's been all around it. He's 4th in the entire tour in strokes gained tee to green. He hasn't missed a single cut in 2024. He's finished inside the top 10 twice and inside the top 26 times. And the big stat that I like here for this course, he is 1st in the field in bogey avoidance over the past 24 rounds. So doesn't have a win on tour, similar to Tommy Fleetwood, but he's dominated on the DP World Tour. And we've seen a lot of Brits and a lot of Euros have a lot of success here. So the Swede, I could see winning his first tour event here. The other 2 quickly, I'll go Bhatia. It's my guy again. Long range accuracy, putting. He's 3rd in the field over the last 24 rounds in stroke gain approach. And 2 other Canadians, Adam Hadwin. I think not enough people are talking about Adam Hadwin coming into this. I think this course fits him well. He always produces when it comes to Canadian Open. Like, this guy loves playing in Canadian Opens. I know he's from BC, and this event's usually in Ontario, and that's a discussion maybe we can have after we give our picks about how ridiculous this event isn't across Canada. But everyone wants to talk about Corey Connors, Taylor, the defending champ, Mackenzie Hughes. What a great season he's having. I really like Hadwin at this course, and so I like him to win. I'm debating on sprinkling him for top Canadian, but my other pick here is Adam Svensson, 80-1. I love him top 20 at plus 250, but I also like him as top Canadian at plus 800. Ball striking, ball striking, ball striking. The only thing that concerns me with Svensson is his putting. His putting is ice cold right now. You got to be able to putt, but boots on the ground, Jake Bowen-Moss has told me that he is striping the ball at the range. Ooh. And he just finished up a long session where he was rolling the putter really, really nicely. So I like Svenny to stay in contention here. My best bet, though, for him is that top 20 at plus 250. And I'm even thinking about that top Canadian at plus 800.
Yeah, well, we'll run through we'll may as well do this right now. If you're wondering about the top Canadian odds, Corey Connors is the favorite. He's at 22 on the board for an outright. He's at plus 275. Mac Hughes is plus 475. Adam Hadwin's at 6-1. Nick Taylor and Pendy are both plus 750. Svenny, Adam Svensson, 8-1. Ben Silverman, 14. Lee 25, our guy from the Peg, Aaron Cockrell, teeing it up from the DP World Tour at 28-1, and Roger Sloan is at 30-1, just in case you were wondering.
Got to get that Roger Sloan number in there. I like it.
Yeah, I will not be on Roger Sloan, but a few of the other guys I really do like. I mean, I'll start it at the top of the board. I mean, listen, I could make a case for Tommy Sahith I was considering, but I was going to fire a few more bullets farther down, but I did want to have one guy, and the guy that I'm backing at 20-1 is the big Irish bear, Shane Lowry, at 20-1. Like, Lowry has played well in this tournament before. I think he really likes coming to Canada. This is a comfortable place, I think, for a lot of the Euros, especially, you know, the Brits and, you know, the Irish guys to come out. He was brilliant at the PGA, finished T6th. I mean, he was top 20 at the Players. I mean, he's a guy that he has a track record of winning tournaments as well. I mean, this is a field, this is not like the PGA, or, I mean, it's just not as stacked as it normally is. So I think if I'm playing one bigger bet with a lower number at the top, it is Shane Lowry. You mentioned Akshay. Listen, Badia, I think, is a steal at 50-1, to be honest. I mean, when you look at what he's done so far this year, having already won, I expected him to be in like the 35-40 range as opposed to 50. So I'm definitely on him. And then we start talking about some of the other Canadians, and the number on Nick Taylor is outrageous. He won this tournament last year. He won in Phoenix earlier this year. You don't think that this is like a major for him? I realize it's not the same course as they played last year, but a 50-1 on Nick Taylor, to me, seems like they're kind of writing him off beforehand, and I fully expect him to be at his best, along with a number of the Canadians. I think what his win did last year for Canadian golf, you know, where we saw the effects of it, you know, on television, through the media, I think we're going to see it in the performances of a number of these Canadian guys. I think we're going to see the majority of them make the cut. I think a bunch of them are going to be T40. I think a number will be pushing into the top 20. And I think Nick Taylor's one of those guys. So at 50-1, the defending champ, the guy that made history last year, is definitely getting on my card. The other guy, the Canadians, to be honest, that we haven't really talked about a lot this year. Corey Connors is always, in the conversation. Hadwin's been pretty consistent, but it's Mac Hughes. And if you want to talk about a home game, I mean, Mac is from the Hammer. He is right there
in his backyard.
This is the tournament for Mac. And like I told you before, the effect of seeing Nick win the National Open last year, I think that he's had this tournament circled on his calendar literally since that putt went in last year at Oakdale. So 40-1 for Mac Hughes, I like, and I definitely like Mac in the top 20 as well. I do have some time for Adam Hadwin. Hadwin's win rate isn't quite there, so I think I'm sort of looking at him in more of a top 10, top 20 spot. But I would love to see what a number would be on, say, like what do you think the odds would be on 3 Canadians in the top 20? I would say 4.
I think we have odds. Do we not have odds for that?
Do we have odds of it? Is that up?
I think there's an exclusive. If it's not up, I think it should be up soon.
Exclusives. Well, I was going through the exclusives while you were making your picks. There's one that I love that I've already bet as well. So maybe we quickly get through these. But if we want a long shot for this tournament, the other outright long shot that I have, he's an old favorite. He's 80-1. The Gim Reaper. The Reaper.
I knew it.
I think that he's another guy that I think could definitely top 20. This is the sort of a field that I think he will perform quite better, a lot better in. And listen, when he's on and he's dropping the putts, I think that he can contend. So a little bit of a long shot on Gim at 80-1. Top pick though, Shane Lowry. I'm on a couple of the Canadians with Mac Hughes and Nick Taylor. Akshay 50-1, and then a long shot dart at 80. Dusty, who do you got for your outrights? And then let's check.
Well, it's funny because as I was putting my outrights together, I said, I know Pat's going to have Sahith on his list, but I've got him on my list too. So I bet. But the sad thing is that the top two guys on my list are Sahith Theegala and Alex Noren. I mean, Noren, as you laid out a pause, but when you've been in the top 25 for 8 consecutive events at varying different levels of the field, and then you get this field, man, like Alex Noren, I think is probably my favorite play of the entire tournament. He's at 22-1, 16th in the all-round ranking, 4th in adjusted scoring, 1st in scrambling, and just 8 straight top 25s. I mean, you can pretty much make a case out of all the non-winners this year, he's the hottest. I mean, he's been hot for 3 months now. So I absolutely love Alex Noren. Obviously, I'm with you guys. I'm with Patty on Sahith Theegala as well. And then the other one, I think I've had him on my card a few weeks back, but the Englishman, Aaron Rye, 50-1. And if he could just putt, all he needs to do is putt. He's got everything else, but I think he's 127th in strokes gained putting right now. But he's top 10 in one of the other categories. He's inside the top 30 in most of them. It's just he cannot do anything with the flat stick. So at 50-1, if this guy can roll in a decent number of putts, I think he's going to at least put himself into contention. And that's a little bit of a longer number that I would look at. So those would be the 3 guys that I look at. I was just looking at go ahead, us.
Quick note on Rye, just to speak to how good that he's been. And listen, has he won? Does he have the win equity? No. But if you look at the other players in at 50-1 with the same outright number, they're all 2-1 to top 20, Rye's plus 150. So it just goes to show you that his numbers, like the advanced metrics on all of what his game is coming in here, says that he'll contend maybe more so than anybody else in that thing. So, I mean, if you are throwing a dart at the 50-1, don't be afraid to consider top 10 or top 20 numbers for him, because he the number's not quite as good as the other guys in the 50, but I think that speaks to the fact that the book, I think, expects him to be there on the weekend and to be in the mix.
And the thing with Two Gloves is that you look at a lot of the guys in the betting industry when it comes to golf, like Pat Mayo, Matt Vincenzi, like these guys who have their algorithms and their they go through and they build these formulas. Ray up of both of them for this course fit and putting everything in together. Like, so I know a lot of people are on him as well. The thing that scares everyone is that putting, but all you need to do is get hot for one weekend. That's all we're asking. For him, it doesn't even need to be hot. He just has to be not losing like 6 and 7 strokes putting each week. Like, just don't lose strokes, and he probably
asking too much
on that final leaderboard.
Right? That's not asking too much. Just don't lose strokes putting, and you probably find yourself in the mix. So I love him at 50-1. I was just looking at some of the exclusives as well. I really like Rory and Sahith both in the top 10 at plus 425. I think that's an absolutely wonderful exclusive as well. As far as a parlay goes here, boy, what are we like? I mean, obviously, Patty and I are on the same page with Sahith and Noren. Huss, your thoughts on how we put together a little 3-man parlay here?
Well, we can definitely roll with those guys. I think Sahith and Noren are great. We probably should have a Canadian in there if we want. Although, by the way, the Greggy Golf Special, I bet this immediately. Rory top 10, Svensson and Pendy both to make the cut at plus 300. And if you don't want to take Rory, but you are worried that he's going to ruin your bets, someone like me that's on a few Canadians, here's a great one. Rory head-to-head versus the Canadians. Rory's plus 120, the best placed Canadian at minus 167, which I found pretty interesting considering Rory's plus 350 to win the entire tournament. We're talking about plus 120 against that entire group of about 15 guys. We all expect Rory to be there at the end and be in the top 10 and be potentially top 5 and maybe win the whole thing. So I do think there's some value there. And hey, if Mac or Nick or Adam went in and won the tournament and cost you on that, you're getting a much bigger number on the other side. Well, listen, we both like Badia. I mean, I think Badia top 20. I think I'm fully in on that. And frankly, I think so many of the other bets are Canadian focused that if we went with Akshay, Norin, and who's the other one? Sahith?
Yeah.
Want to throw those three guys into the top 20? I mean, I think that probably makes sense.
Patty, what do you think?
I'd be
that's separate enough, right, from everything else we got up there?
I'm just trying to because my two Greggy golf. You already mentioned the other one, Huss. The other one up there is Fleetwood, Thigala, Batia, and Hadwin all to make the cut. So that is a little bit different. So I'm totally fine with it. I want all the stock in Norin that I can get. I have a feeling he's not going to win, but I think he's going to be right there. So I'm totally in for some sort
here's
of
the one thing.
here.
There is an exclusive of one guy that we don't have, but has been picked by our show in the past. Sahith, Norin, and Burns.
Oh, that's pretty close.
All to finish top 20. That's 10-1. Burns is 25-1. Akshay's 50-1. So just by that, I mean, I think we're probably looking at 11, 12-1. Like, it'll be better than 10-1 if we're replacing Akshay for Sam Burns.
True. That'd
true. Be a bigger bump, yeah.
Is there it would be a better number.
Huss, who did you have else? Like Patty and I, like we're both on the other two guys. You have Batia. You have Shane Lowry. I don't mind. Just like Shane Lowry was a guy I kind of first looked at and then went away from. Like let's do that. Let's go Norin, Lowry, Batia. What do you think?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. If we want to change that,
I like that.
Just to mix it up a little bit, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? That number should be pretty similar because Sahith and Lowry are both 20-1.
Yeah, and one other quick thing. Two, I guess. You guys were talking about, or I was talking about the last time in 2019 at Huss. You mentioned how it's in Mac Hughes' backyard. Last time this event was here, he finished T14 and Hadwin finished in 6th. So, I mean, you could even argue that Hughes is even playing better now. So I totally agree. I'm going to try to get some sort of piece on Hughes. I already got Hadwin. Like, I think I'm just going to go all in on these Canadians this year in the amount of Canadians that are in the field. I think we've got 26 Canadians. So with that being said, it's a bit of a long shot, but over 7.5 Canadians to make the cut at plus 500. I'm going to sprinkle there. I'm probably going to go with the safer one with over 5.5 at plus 130. But you guys know this. You've watched the Canadian Open for long enough. You're going to get your big names like the Connors, like the Hadwins, like the Mac Hughes, Pendy, Svendy, even a guy like Silverman. But there is going to be someone who has won the Monday qualifier or has a sponsor exemption. Cockrell, even another guy. Like one of these guys on day one. Yeah, exactly. Someone like that is going to find themselves not just making the cut, but on that leaderboard to start the day. They're going to come with their hair on fire. So 8 seems like a crazy number, but at a national open, this means so much for these guys. And to get it at plus 500, it's a little sprinkle, and it's just another way to have fun with this bet. I'm excited for it.
All right, Huss, what's coming up in Winnipeg Sports Talk?
Well, we're continuing to chop up Scott Arneal's hiring with the Jets and talk about the next month or so. The play-by-play voice of the Jets, Paul Edmonds, is going to jump on with us. Ken Wiebe as well. We'll obviously hit the Stanley Cup playoffs and the play-by-play voice of the Bombers as well. Derek Taylor joining us from training camp as we get closer to a big weekend. Bombers playing on Friday night, and then all the cuts have to be made Saturday morning.
Yeah, everybody plays Friday night
because
right? Like
the Bombers. Are you doing the opener here on Thursday?
No,
next week?
That'll be Rod and Suits. I'm doing Calgary Friday, Edmonton Saturday.
Excellent.
Yeah. Though. There's 4 preseason games Friday night, and then all the cuts got to be in. Patty, you're off to Canadian Open here. That's the plan, right?
Yeah, I'll be there Friday. The other fellows will be there on Thursday. I think Jake's living in Hamilton pretty much from today to Sunday. So keep praise to the Coolbet socials. Got a lot of content coming out from Hamilton Golf and Country Club, and on Friday we'll be there as well. Lock Shop, I'll be on with you, Huss, right? We'll report live from Hamilton Golf and Country Club.
Yeah. I'll see if maybe Iwanek and I can basically do the majority of the show and then get you, because you're not. Are you here on Friday or no?
Me no. No.
Yeah.
Okay. So I will steer the ship. We'll have Matt come on, and then if you're able to jump in at some point, we can get a little bit. And you know what? I'm just thinking 12:30. That'll just be around the time when the big boys are all going out with that big group. So we'll definitely check in on that, and we'll make it happen. Dusty, are you here tomorrow?
No, I'm driving. Well, I'm doing the morning show tomorrow, but then I'm driving. I'm driving down to Calgary, flying out of Calgary to Vancouver. So I'm going to be driving tomorrow. I'll be listening on iHeart or TuneIn to you guys tomorrow.
Okay, and you guys are both at the tourney tomorrow?
I'm not at the tourney tomorrow. I can't make it, so I can pop in for sure.
That'll be great. So let Iwanek know that we'll fire it up, and we will have a game one way or the other. Did the Oilers go Wednesday, Friday, Sunday?
Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, Tuesday, if need be. Yep.
Perfect. Okay. Well, that'll be good to have him on. We can kind of focus in on Game 5 for Oilers Stars, and then get the latest from the tourney at our National Open in Hamilton. Should be fun, guys.
See you later.
Enjoy.
Talk to you guys later. There you go. That's us and Pat Gregoire. Find him on Twitter at @PGreggy. Before we get to the oil stream, which is coming up here right away, we do have the Great Outdoors Comedy Festival Saturday night VIP table for Kevin Hart's show. Some tickets, limited number of tickets still available. The Friday night show sold out. Saturday, limited number of tickets available. If you want to get in on that VIP table draw, just text Kevin right now to 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999. Text Kevin, and we will get you into the draw for the Saturday night VIP table at the Great Outdoors Comedy Festival. All right, coming up, oil stream in like 3 minutes. Don't go anywhere. If you're watching on YouTube, turn on autoplay. It'll take you right on over. Tommy's going to be sweating like crazy. What a morning down at the rink. We're going to get into all of that here as we continue to work our way through another day on Edmonton Sports Talk. If you're listening on TuneIn or on iHeart, very small dose of Whale and the Wolf, and then the oil stream coming up right away to take you through your lunch hour. Thank you very much for joining us on Lock Shop today. Best of luck tonight on all of your wagers. Go check out that EST parlay. It's posted up in the exclusives page. Draisaitl goal, McDavid assist, Bouge point. Oilers win tonight, plus 450. We'll talk to you tomorrow.